So this Bobby V.
Hey, what's up, Bobby? This is Tom from You Know I Got Soul. How you doing?
What's the dealie?
Everything's good, man. Thanks for taking the time out for the interview.
It's all good. Appreciate you interviewing me.
No problem, man. You know you're preparing to release your fourth album, Fly on the Wall, in a couple of weeks. You know how you feeling right now?
I'm feeling real good. You know what I'm saying? I'm confident in my work. You know what I'm saying? So I know that this album is gonna be, a collector's item. You know what I'm saying? I look at this like a classic. I went into it and I put my all into it. And I like deep down inside, I really believe that my fans are not gonna be disappointed by the music. You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, I'm definitely, it's something happy.
Cool. So tell me how you chose the title Fly on the Wall.
I chose that because, I've been in the industry for a long time. I used to be in the group Jessica back in the 90s. I was with Buddha, for 2 albums, and now I'm on my own label, Blue Collar Dreams /Capital. So I've seen it all, done it all. I've experienced a lot. I've had the opportunity to travel the world, and I just feel like I've been a fly on the wall in the industry.
Yeah.
And also I'm giving all my fans the opportunity, like through this interview I'm doing now, just kind of be a fly on the wall and be a part of the process instead of just being, on the outside looking in. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. All right, cool. Talk to me about who you worked with on this album.
Well, with Tim and Bob, of course, they produced, Slow Down and Tell Me, and pretty much my whole first album. They got like 5, 6 tracks on there. I worked with LOS, who does a lot with Dream and those type guys. He produced on my last album as well. I worked with Brian Michael Cox. I worked with the Underdogs that produced my first single Words on this album. So like a lot of strong like R&B producers, like all the people I named.
Yeah.
Like that's what they do. Like they don't even do rap tracks.
Yeah.
Like B Cox, he don't even he can do a rap track, but he don't even do it. Like he's an R&B guy. LOS the same way. You know what I'm saying? He's an R&B guy, Tim and Bob. So a lot of my all the producers I work with, they know how to play the guitar, they know how to play the piano, and I'm key on that because I love, and this is not a knock to producers, but I love producers that are also musicians. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So them the kind of cats that I work with that are producers as well as musicians.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you definitely chose the cream of the crop to work with in terms of R&B producers. That's good. I know you've done a lot of writing on your previous albums. Is that the case with this album as well?
Yes, sir. I wrote every song on this album, except maybe 1 or 2. Like I did the remake Rock, which of course I didn't write that. L.A. Reason Babyface wrote that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think I pretty much wrote on every song. And for artists like myself, I think that's important because I just believe in you gotta be able to feel your music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like if somebody gives you a song and be like, "Hey, sing this song," it could be real hot. Cause it's like records that I hear, it's like 5 or 6 records on my album that I heard the record first and it was real hot. But I gotta go in and I gotta put the Bobby V on there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I tell them I love the hook and the beat, but I might want to change up the first verse or the bridge or something like that, just to kind of make it my own.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's that's why I definitely try to write on all my songs. I don't do it from a standpoint of I think I know everything, but it's a standpoint of I gotta put a little bit of me into the song and some soul in the song. That way I'm really feeling it.
Okay. I can respect that. Comparing this album to your previous albums, would you say the sound on this album is going to be comparable? What we heard from you before?
Yep, I say comparing them to all my albums, I say this is more comparative to the first album.
Oh, really?
A lot of people are classify my first album as a classic. A lot of people always say your first album is classic, first album classic. My second album, I try to work with due to the success of my first album, my second album kind of opened more doors for me to work with more people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I worked with Timbaland on that album. I worked with a lot of producers. So honestly, Special Occasions was definitely a great album, but I think it was all over the place. It had a lot more production than because Tim and Bob did my full first album. It was just one producer on that album.
Yeah.
And you know, since that was so successful, and I made a name for myself, everybody wanted to work with me, and I didn't want to be like, nah, I ain't want to work with you, you know. So I kind of spread my wings. I worked with Timberland, I worked with a lot of different producers, but that album was kind of all over the place production wise. Mm-hmm. And then my third album, The Rebirth, it kind of went back to like trying to work with my core set of favorite producers. And this album is kind of even more of that. So I mean, just to kind of answer your question, it is more compared to my first album on the production side because it's not like a lot of producers, and it has like a distinctive sound throughout the album.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I'm trying not need to cut you off. I'm just trying to really I'm really trying to captivate true R&B. You know, me personally, I kind of feel like the world and the industry is more hip hop driven.
Yeah.
I think rap and hip hop is, and even pop music, like it's kind of big. Like, you know, when you go to Vegas and when you go to the clubs, like they ain't playing the R&B, they playing a lot of.
Yeah.
You know, they playing a lot of that, and I ain't trying to talk that. You know, when I'm in the club, I jam to that too.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, making the R&B album has to. It's kind of like a different vibe, and I don't want to stray away from, you know, I don't want to stray away from good R to try to, because a lot of people conform, you know, they kind of sell themselves out to do what everybody else doing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I've been the victim of that too. You know, I've tried to make those kind of pop records and those kind of hip hop driven records, but that's not really me.
Yeah.
So I'm a crooner, I'm an R&B guy. So I try to with this album, I try my best to stick to doing what my fans are gonna love and what I know I'm gonna love, what I'm gonna play in my car when I hop in the car, and that's some true R&B stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. And just to speak on what you're talking about right here, you know, I was at your listening session in New York a couple months back, and when you were talking about the album, you mentioned sometimes your singles will be a little more commercial than the rest of the album, and if people gave the album a full listen, they definitely, you know, find that real R&B that they like. So, can you just speak on that a little bit?
I mean, definitely. You see, the thing is like, music industry is very political, and a lot of the fans and the people don't know the politics in it, but you know, it is what it is. Every job has politics. You can be a teacher, it's going to be politics and teaching. You know, you can be a doctor, it's politics and that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I say that to say that if it was up to me, I would release more songs like Words, more songs that's like just sitting on the album that's extra hot.
Yeah.
But due to the politics of radio, you know, it's hard for those records to make it at mainstream radio.
Yeah.
You know, when you put out them real kind of R&B records, they automatically try to bump you up to a contemporary.
I agree.
And I'm not a adult contemporary artist. I'm a mainstream urban artist. You know? And I feel like my music is good, and I think that other, like, it's artists that I really like I'm a fan of Joe. I like Joe a lot. And I buy Joe album. I like Tank a lot. You know, I bought Tank album that came out. I like Marsha Ambrose, and she just came out with an album last week. I bought that.
Yeah.
Like, as a consumer and as a fan. But you rarely hear those three artists on the radio.
That's true.
You know, you hear, you know, the mainstream artists, you know, and, you know, it ain't no knock to the mainstream artists, but that's what you hear over and over again. You know, but it's like they don't really give artists like Joe, Tank, Marsha Ambrosia, people like that, a fair shot at being a mainstream artist. You know, it's always, you know, that same group of people cut on the radio right now. Hot 97 is playing, you know, they playing. I'm in the car right now. Let me see what they're playing right now. We in Atlanta right now.
Yeah.
Look at that. They're playing they're playing an old school song right now.
Okay.
They're doing mixes right now, but they're playing rap though.
Yeah.
Playing at 5 o'clock rap stuff. You know?
Yeah.
So, but it is what it is. You know, I ain't gonna be a complainer. I'm trying to help bring R&B back.
Yeah. No, I definitely respect you speaking on that, because I feel like a lot of artists are in the same boat as you, and you know, we need to bring that to light, and you know, to kind of to get things to change eventually. So.
Exactly. Like Marsha album jamming, man. Like I bought it up today. I mean, that shit really jamming. You know, and she's just as good as any other artist that's like on the radio right now. But like I look at her like kind of I look at myself, like, you know, one of the underdogs R&B is like, that's really hot. You know, they just don't get the, you know, they just don't get that mainstream slot, which eventually turns to the big looks, you know?
Yeah, exactly. All
You
right.
know?
You know, you mentioned earlier the Bobby Brown cover you did, Rock With You. So, you know, what kind of made you choose to pick that song to cover?
Um, we was in the studio, and you know, for every album I do a cover.
Yeah.
And the underdogs actually we produced that record. So, you know, we was talking, and actually one of them that came up with the idea. They was like, man, you should do a Bobby Brown song.
Mm-hmm.
So at first we was talking about like my prerogative. We just threw a couple out there, and then I said, man, what about Rock With You? They was like, that might be dope, cause it's still, you know, it's still like, you know, it's a mid tempo. Cause we really didn't want to do like a ballad record. We want to do something with a little tempo.
Yeah.
So they got on the underdogs, like I say, they'll produce a group of four of them. They got on the keys, got on the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
They just started remaking the beat right there.
Yeah.
The rest is history.
Cool. And, you know, I know you performed that one live with Bobby Brown on Lopez Tonight a few weeks ago. You know, what was his reaction to your version of the song?
He was happy, man, and it was cool because, you know, a lot of folks was like, oh, man, Bobby Brown crazy. You know, man, Bobby Brown, he gonna try to outshine you. Like, people was like trying to make it, you know, make it seem like he's a negative person. But man, I say, you know, he was like Bobby B. I'm like, Bobby B. What's up? You know, we kicked it, you know, and like he let me get my shine on, and I let him get his shine on. Like it was like we performed together before. And it was cool. He was humble. You know, like I mean, it was good, man. You know, I just let him know how much like I grew up on him and how much I appreciated him for doing the Lopez show, because honestly I couldn't have did the show without him. But he was like, man, I appreciate you. He was like, this a big look for me.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out for both of us.
Yeah, good stuff. Tell me, is there a song on this album besides the singles that, you know, when people hear the album, they're gonna love it? Like you would think they're gonna love it?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Is there one that comes to mind, like immediately, or?
Like Would You Be?
Okay.
Tim and Bob track called Would You Be? Another Tim and Bob track called If I Can't Have You. I got this track called Sweetness on there. That a new producer did named Jeff B. That record crazy. It kind of got like an old school 90s vibe to it.
Okay.
But
Cool.
I'm telling you, like the album, I know you heard that the listening thing, but but like since then, I think I did like one or two new cuts. I mean, it's solid.
Cool.
Really solid.
Yeah. I have a couple questions from your fans. I reached out on Twitter to some of your fans, and you know, one of them wanted to know if you appreciate getting fan feedback, especially, you know, if fans are not feeling some of your songs. You know, how do you react to that? If some of your fans maybe don't like a particular song.
I mean, I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate them to be real. I mean, I know like on Twitter and stuff, it'd be people that, like my real fans, I appreciate it. The haters, I don't appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, like, I be getting like tweets from haters, like people that never tweet me, and I can tell like, oh, this is hate mail. And then I got like the Bobby V, like I got a lot of like Bobby V fan club and stuff that be on Twitter every day. Like I respect their opinion because I know that they're being honest and that they're like true Bobby V fans. You know, so I appreciate those. But the people that just like never hit me on Twitter, I never see, and they just send us some hate and stuff, like I don't pay them no mind. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Another fan question, you know, what do you think is the best song you've made so far, and why?
That's a hard question, actually. I mean, honestly, I don't really have a best song because, like, I really put my all in each song. Like, for this album, I recorded on 50 songs.
Yeah.
Only 15 made the cut.
Yeah.
So, like, each of these songs are special to me in different ways. Like, I love Words. Like, right now, Words is like man, when I listen to that now, it just makes me feel so good. You know?
Yeah.
And it makes me feel a certain way. But at the same time, Slow Down would have to be one of my favorite records because it got me hot. You know, and then it's a lot of songs out there that just, you know, I feel like each one that I really, like I do some, like when I record, you know, some songs that are better than others, but the ones that I put on my albums, I feel like I'm my best.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
the ones that I might leak or something like that, I might try to be 50-50 on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know?
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. And then just one last question. You know, you mentioned them a bunch of times throughout this interview, and you talked about them during the listening session. Tim and Bob. You know, can you just talk about your relationship with them and how they kind of brought you into the solo career and all that?
Man, they like brothers, man.
Yeah.
Them are my all-time favorite producers. I'm gonna work with them forever.
Mm-hmm.
Like to them, they like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis is the Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like they know how I feel musically. Like, you know, I mean, I can't get with a better producer because they know me and they know what I like.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, like I look at them as being under the radar producers as well.
Yeah.
You know, they not the producers that's like talking all on the tracks and all that kind of stuff. They just like real core R&B fanatics.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they love, and I appreciate them for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I hooked up with them because when I was in Mister, we put out our album, right?
Yeah.
And so the second album that actually never came out, but we recorded it. We got a chance to work with Tim and Bob, and this one they was in their prime. Cause like for people that don't know Tim and Bob, like they used to produce for like Boys to Men. They did the thong song for Cisco, like Michael Jackson, but they were like at their peak, like in the late '90s.
Yeah.
So they worked on the Mister album that never came out.
Oh, okay.
And they helped me develop my voice because it was 4 of us in the group. They kind of handpicked me like, yo, you gonna sing all the leads because you have the most distinctive voice.
Mm-hmm.
And they really kind of like pulled me to the side out of everybody else in the group. Because honestly, I really couldn't even sing that good back then. You know, I was on like 15,
Yeah.
and I could hold a note, but I wasn't seasoned. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they did for me. Like they turned me into, they really showed me how to harmonize, and they seasoned, and that's why I'm so good now. Like not me like to my own horn, but when it comes to this singing shit, I mean honestly, I don't feel like there's too many people out there that can touch me.
Yeah.
Because I've been seasoned. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I've had vocal lessons. You know, people like Tim and Bob have really took me under their wings to really teach me how to really be a great singer. So, like them dudes there, like I will always work with them, and like even when I'm like 50 years old, I still be putting out albums just with all they tracks on.
Good stuff, man. That's all I had for you. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Just tell everybody March 22nd, man. You know, please support me. You know, I understand that spending your $10 on the CD is other things you can buy. You know, but I mean, I really need everybody's support to continue to be being Bobby V. You know, it's a business at the end of the day, and if you don't perform, then you won't be around. You know,
Yeah.
and I want to be around.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be around, for 10 more years to come. So, I just ask that all the people just, support R&B.
Mm-hmm.
And, just, go get my album and support other R&B artists that's doing R&B, because that's the only way we're going to, get around.